My name is Don Chapman, and some of you might have heard of me and what I've done. I'm behind the Lost Canadians. Welcome to the seat of skywriting, because you're at the heart and soul and the fabric of where this all came out of. I was stripped of my Canadian citizenship all due to old antiquated laws that actually made me property of my father. I challenged the federal government. It took decades. But when we passed a law in 2009, upwards of 1 million people now have the right to claim Canadian citizenship. The Harper government and you fixed it to 95% of the people. Problem is, I'm an airline pilot, and if I land in the Hudson River and I ditch, I'm not satisfied with leaving 5% of the people in the airplane. Currently, and you mentioned the granite underneath us and equality of rights and so forth. Right now, this government, the Harper government, is violating equality of rights by 2 Supreme Court decisions, 3 United Nations Conventions on Human Rights, and our charter. They are denying citizenship based on whether you were born in or out of wedlock. The pre-1947 births have a whole set of problems with them. They're denying pensions. Women are not being able to have equality of rights in citizenship laws, passing citizenship on to their children. There's a whole host of this. If you want, go to my webpage, which is lostcanadian.com. You'll be shocked. The Economist magazine has done this, the refugees in the United Nations. Scott, I'm dealing with some people right in your writing. I was just at Acadia University, and you know the people I'm talking about. Audrey Ann and I have been talking back and forth quite a bit. But anyway, the point being is, in the last few years, not once have I heard any leader of any opposition party stand up and challenge Mr. Harper for violating basic civil rights and basic equality rights. So my question here is, obviously I know you think this is important. Will you stand up? Will you make your voice heard? Will you continue to make your voice heard until this problem is solved? And will you go to the press and sit down and say, this cannot be anymore?
Thank you very much. And thank you particularly. I think we all owe you, Don, a debt of gratitude for the work you've done to make people aware of this issue. I certainly will stand up on it because you were kind enough to say that we did some legislative fixes that got us 95% there. 95% isn't good enough when we're talking about rights and when we're talking about freedoms and when we're talking about citizenship. So we have to get the next 5% and make sure that Canadian citizenship is not dependent on post-47, pre-47, in wedlock, out wedlock, women, men, any of that stuff. Let's get it simple and because if we don't, we erode faith and trust in the value of Canadian citizenship itself. I think that's the value that you're making us aware. I don't know whether Dan and I think Scott had something to add.
Don, as you know, Marlene Jennings has been active on this as well, and she's been working with us as our justice critic. This is a priority, and
her whole family was affected. And even Romeo Dallaire was stripped of his citizenship.
yeah. So this is something we take seriously, and we're gonna address it. And the leader's gonna address it personally. So thanks for your continued work and for the people in my constituency as well.
I'm all over the world on this with people, but don't let Harper get away with it.
If I can just say, don't let Harper get away with it, could almost be my job description. There you go. Who's coming up next?